Welcome, friends, it's the Movie Film Podcast. The Movie Film Podcast, enjoy the show. Zachy and Brian are talking about movies. Movie Film Podcast on the radio. Welcome to Movie Film. This is episode 170, brought to you by Mr. Boy Productions. My name is Zachy Hassan. I'm here with Brian Hall.
Hey, how's it going, Zachy?
It's going great. I'm ready to celebrate. I think the biggest movie ever made.
I think it looks like that way, doesn't it?
It looks like box office records are demolished and pieces of which are falling hither and thither. Yeah, I said hither and thither. Yeah. That's the thing I did. I'm very proud of it.
What were we just talking about last time? We were using old-timey... It wasn't Guff. Somewhere like Guff.
No, it was Weisenheimer.
Weisenheimer. And I heard someone use that this week. That was what I wanted to tell you. I forgot to text you and tell you that.
See that? I'd like to think that's me sort of adding something to the ether of the universe.
Yeah, you put it out there.
I'm gonna take ownership of that. With pride, I will do that. We are here also with a returning special guest. Glenn Greenberg is here.
Hello, everybody.
So Glenn is a former editor at Marvel Comics, and he joined us almost exactly a year ago to discuss Avengers Infinity War, and I exacted a promise from him that he would indeed join us to discuss what was at the time the unnamed sequel to Avengers Infinity War. It is Avengers Endgame, and Glenn is here to offer his insights and analyses as not only an extremely knowledgeable Marvel fan and creator, but also just a friend of the show.
Good friend of the show.
No, I'd like to think so. I'd like to think that you consider us as good a friend as we consider you.
Yes.
So Avengers Endgame is in theaters now, and as we are recording, it is the morning of April 28th. And as of the morning of April 28th, it has made, oh my goodness, $354.4 million domestically.
Wow.
Which is the biggest opening weekend in history by a very wide margin. And it feels like that's the kind of opening record that's not in danger of getting smashed anytime soon. What do you think?
I can't even imagine what it would be.
Right? I mean, it's like the only potentiality on the horizon is Star Wars, and let's be honest, I don't see that making this kind of money.
No.
In its opening weekend. Let me couch.
No.
Yeah, and I thought you were going to say the next Avatar.
I mean,
I don't even mean. I'm not even trying to make a joke, but only because of it being like the previous number one. Well, yeah. It still is
It's still the number one movie of all time. Although, Brian, I got to say, after this opening weekend, I feel like Endgame could be a contender.
Yeah.
Oh no, for sure. And what I think is, I agree with you. Much like Star Wars, I don't think is going to open like the previous have. I don't think the Avatar will either. It's just the only other franchise at the moment that feels. It's so funny. I was gonna say it feels gargantuan, but it doesn't at all. But the numbers make it feel like it should, even though culture makes it feel like it isn't. I don't. You understand what I'm saying?
I just don't see a lot of people out there clamoring for an Avatar sequel. You know, I mean,
I know.
for some reason, it's the number one film of all time, but I don't feel any love for it. You know, I don't feel any love for it from the masses. You know, so I just can't imagine that those sequels are going to do that kind of business.
Yeah, and I can't think of any other franchise only Star Wars comes to mind that could do numbers like that. And now we don't have Star Wars isn't going to do it. We don't have like a Harry Potter. We don't have a Lord of the Rings. We don't, Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think it's going to be uncontended for a while.
And I think, Brian, what you just said, that gets to a broader point that I've made a few times, that when it comes to the current cultural moment, Marvel Studios is now what Star Wars once was.
Yeah.
You know? And that's not in any way denigrating the Star Wars franchise, which all three of us have a great deal of affinity for, but it is acknowledging that Star Wars has become a little bit of an also-ran right now.
Time marches on.
One thing and I'm sure you guys can attest to this, over the last 3 days, looking at my Facebook feed, how many people are checking in with, watching Avengers, and it's people who you wouldn't necessarily think of as being like, the audience for this movie.
Or at least 10 years ago.
10, yeah,
Right.
exactly, and that right. The audience for this movie has now become everyone, you know.
Yeah.
But we have many thoughts. We have opinions. I know, Glenn. You and I, we've been sort of like we were talking about this via Messenger, and then I was like, wait, let's hold this. Let's now, Glenn, you've seen it twice, right?
Yeah.
I've seen it twice. Brian, you just saw it last night for the first time.
I saw it last night. I'm seeing it again next weekend. And I actually saw, Glenn, I think I saw you post on Facebook something about, your experience after seeing it the second time. And I was like, oh, man, I'm so jealous. Like, I know, when you watch something that's so big and that has so much going on and that you're anticipating, the second viewing is almost essential.
Yeah.
So I really look forward to that. But I still feel like I got a good handle on this one for myself.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, now Glenn, you had a really cool experience when you watched it this past Wednesday.
Yeah.
And you got to see it with this rogues gallery of Marvel Comics luminaries.
Yeah, I managed to go to the Marvel. I guess it's called the Marvel Friends and Family screening. And I guess I'm the black sheep of the family because I've never been invited to this before. But this one, I managed to be somebody else's plus one, and it was incredible to see. It was like a murderer's row of talent, Marvel past, present, and I guess future to some extent. But Neil Adams, who did the very famous and very beloved storyline from the early 70s, Avengers, the Kree-Skrull War, which Captain Marvel, the Captain Marvel movie, lifted heavily from. He was the artist on that and the co-plotter. Roy Thomas, who wrote the Avengers for years, including the run with Neil Adams, he was there. Larry Lieber, Stan Lee's brother, and also one of the creators of Iron Man. Peter David, Dan Slott, Larry Hama, just a whole bunch of people whose work I respect and love and was inspired by.
And for people listening who don't know some of those names, Larry Hama is the creator of what we now think of as G.I. Joe. Peter David is the creator of the version of the Hulk that we saw in this movie.
Yep.
So again, this is when I said luminaries. I mean, this. I was just so blown away by when you mentioned some of the folks you got to watch this movie with.
Yeah, I mean, it hit me at one point. I spent about 10, 15 minutes chatting with Roy Thomas, and I'm like sitting there going, "This is the guy who's responsible for a lot of this stuff." And I've met with Roy before. I've spoken to him. I've interviewed him, but you never sort of lose that. I hate the term, but that fanboyish element.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Roy Thomas was the first editor-in-chief to replace Stan Lee as editor-in-chief at Marvel.
Yeah, he was the heir apparent.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a very cool crowd to see it with, and we'll get to some of their reactions. But just big picture, let's talk about our reactions. And Glenn, we'll start with you as the guest. So this is the culmination of 11 years of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It is in effect the end of the MCU as we knew it. Did they stick the landing?
Oh, without question. It was very satisfying. It was very moving. It was a bit on the first viewing. It was a bit overwhelming. It was hard for me to sort of wrap my head around the whole thing. The second time, and this is what you were alluding to before, Brian. The second time, having gone through it once, I was able to watch it with a more sort of expectant eye, knowing what the story was, knowing where everything landed. And just being able to watch it for what it was. And I found myself, this was the second time I saw it was Friday night. I found myself much more emotionally invested to the point where yesterday, for the most of yesterday, up until around, I'd say 3:00, I felt like I was in mourning. Not just for the characters that were lost, but also for the fact that this is the end of an era. And we won't be seeing a lot of these actors in those roles again. And that's what I was mourning more than anything else. And I was kind of like in a funk, believe it or not. Not so much the first time, definitely the second time.
Yeah, if I can make a corollary, it and the end. We're doing non spoilers right now, but the very end of the film, I felt had a nice called back to Star Trek 6 for
Oh,
me,
yeah.
right? Which I'm sure was by design.
Yeah.
And so I was remembering what it felt like to me watching Star Trek 6.
Yeah.
But that's and that's the final film with the original crew, and that didn't have the same degree of finality as this, but there was that sense of like, well, this is probably the end of the line, and you can't help but really take in the passage of time with that, and you start thinking about all the adventures you've had with these characters.
I feel like you mentioned it in your review, Zachy, talking about comparing it to Return of the King.
Return of the King, yeah.
Yeah, and just sort of that, a movie that takes its time to wrap things up because we've spent so much time in this world, in this universe with these people, and it kind of gives itself this very welcome, not a victory lap, but just sort of let's just say goodbye for a minute. Like, let's switch tones here, let's switch paces. Who cares about acts in movies? Like, we're going to like slow down here and say goodbye for a minute.
Yeah.
And this movie had that sort of special feeling at the ending that I really enjoyed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay, so Brian, I want to hear your take on this.
Yeah, I fortunately, I as I mentioned, I get really weird. Like when a favorite band of mine comes out with a new album or a new movie I'm really looking forward to comes out, I can never gauge how I really feel about it upon first listen or first watch. Like I take it all in. I'm like, okay, so that's a thing. And then I have to like go back and then really gauge my feelings and experience it again.
Right.
But no, this one, right away. I mean, I was in. I watched Screen Junkies did like a catch up on the previous 21 movies that was about
nice.
45 minutes long. And I was amazed how much I remembered everything, but also it got me really pumped up. It like showed me where all the pieces, or reminded me where all the pieces was, and I was really ready to go. And that's what this movie is. I mean, Infinity War is the setup, and this one is knocking everything down. And so you just hop right back into this thing, and I really found it to be a satisfying wrap up to all of this. So it was exciting. It like tugged my heartstrings. I mean, I teared up several times during this movie.
Yeah,
and in a way that didn't feel manipulative. It felt worthy.
Earned.
Like all the moments were earned, and I cheered. The thrilling moments made me thrilled, and the ending, like I said, the victory lap left me feeling satisfied. So I had a blast.
Well, there we go. I think you guys have basically summed up my non-spoiler thoughts. I don't think there's anything I have to add, except that I will say that our mutual friend Brian Sean Coyle flew up and got to experience the movie with me a little bit earlier in the press screening, and it was our friendship, which now stretches back nearly a quarter century, is rooted in our mutual affinity for Marvel Comics and its many facets. So the fact that we got to experience this film together was really something special, and it definitely made me think about how you and Sean, back in 2008, you guys flew up here to the Bay Area and we watched Iron Man together opening weekend.
Yeah.
And it's funny to me that that really wasn't because, oh man, we can't wait to watch Iron Man together. It just kind of, the schedule worked out that way where you guys had a free week. You know what I mean? It wasn't.
We used to do that more often.
We used to do it more, exactly. And I was, how when the first Iron Man film came out, which we were all excited about because it looked good, and if you remember, we went to WonderCon in the early part of 2008 up here, and that Favreau came and he brought footage, and that was the first time they'd showed footage anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really when I think many people were like, this movie is going to be something really special.
Yep.
But even still, there was no weight of expectation. That movie was a true audience-driven smash hit.
Yeah.
And so, the journey that we've been on from that movie to now, 22 chapters later, and we've talked on this podcast so many times about all of the failed attempted cinematic universes or the struggling cinematic universes that have all put the universe before the cinema.
Mm-hmm.
And what we see, what Marvel Studios has done, and it seems so effortless, maybe that's why everyone's been trying to do it, is they've just, one brick at a time, they have paved this road.
Yep.
They've never lost, and you can point to, there's the films that are slightly lesser, and obviously Thor: The Dark World gets tossed around a lot, and Iron Man 2, Incredible Hulk, which I disagree with that, but they're sort of the lesser lights in the MCU. But even then, this is something that I saw Zach Stentz, who co-wrote the original Thor. He said this on Twitter yesterday. He's like, even the lesser ones are still good. Like, they're entertaining. You're not going to feel like you wasted your time,
Yep.
And that's so crucial, that the Marvel Studios brand has come to represent a baseline of entertainment at the movies. Like, if I spend my money to see this movie, I'll at least walk out having been entertained. And how important is that in this marketplace where, franchises fall, mid-level movies are basically evaporating, and yet the Marvel Studios movies keep performing at that high level, and it's because the brand has come to represent quality. And it says something about how big that audience has now become, that you can have a film like this, which is really 3 hours of fan service.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
And yet the pool of receptive people is so big that they buy it. You have moments that for a comic book nerd would be like, oh, that's so cool. But now, everybody, the audience I saw it with yesterday morning at 8:45 in the morning was so plugged in. It was really, if whether this is the greatest comic book movie ever made or whatever, that I know some people are saying that, that's almost irrelevant. I will say this: it is a cinematic experience like I can't remember, and I doubt we'll have something similar to this in a long time.
Yeah,
the
and I was thinking about you guys actually when I was going to see it last night, because I'm one of those people who caught on 10 years ago, right? And I was thinking about people who grew up, like, sort of for me, I first saw Star Wars when I was in first grade. So any new Star Wars thing, even when it's not great, I'm still going to be a little forgiving of it because it's in my DNA.
Right.
And I was thinking about you guys just having these characters your whole lives, and then seeing this thing was almost like this little gift in 2008, and to see what it's become, and the world has caught up to you guys, and this thing that you were like, well, yeah, no, this has always been awesome. This must have been the most amazing present,
Yeah, the fact that you can't walk down the street without seeing people wearing Captain America t-shirts or everybody. And I'm like, man, where was this in the mid-90s?
You have to go further back for me.
That's true. even further.
We had was Nicholas Hammond in a sewed together Spider-Man suit, and you could see the wires lifting him up the buildings. It was clearly the technology had to catch up to the imagination.
Yeah.
But once it did,
it's
wow.
It's funny though, because growing up, we had the Incredible Hulk TV show, which is still good. It's still quality, but it's also, you have to contextualize it with the times, right?
Yeah.
And one thing I've always said is, even as a kid, when I watched that show, I was like, well, this is the TV Hulk, because obviously you can't do everything in real life that you can do in a comic, and that sense of well, they have to do it like this, because that was throughout my life, that was just how the prism through which I would gaze at any of these adaptations. Up through the whether we're talking about the Batman films or you name it, and then now you look at something like this, and it just confirms what I have said, and I truly believe this, that the movie universe has effectively supplanted the comic book universe in terms of the way we think of these characters.
Right.
Now, granted, I say this as somebody who doesn't read the comic books regularly anymore, but that universe will always be there. It'll always exist. But the movies are now doing everything that the comic books could never do.
Mm-hmm.
Or rather, let me rephrase. The movies are now doing stuff that the comic books did, knowing movies could never do it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sorry, I misspoke. But actually, no. Let me reverse myself again. Based on what we saw in this film, there's a finality that the comic books could never really have. So
I thought about that. Yeah, and I wondered if runs ever sort of concluded sort of definitively, and like, well, this is the story we want to tell with this thing. So here's actually the end. And now we're going to kind of start another version of this, of a story with Captain America or
I mean, Glenn,
whoever.
maybe you can answer that. Is the type of finality that we saw in this film, is that something that the comics have ever done?
For stretches of time. I mean, we've never brought back Captain Marvel. He died. They've never brought him back. It's always been, if it seems like he's been back, it's always been a fake out.
Yeah.
But Tony Stark has died, quote unquote, several times, and there's always been a way to sort of bring him back. And in fact, just most recently, he was supposedly dead, and a young African American girl replaced him.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
In the role of Ironheart.
Right.
And then it turned out, I haven't read the story yet, but it turned out that, no, Tony is back in whatever way, shape, or form. You're not going to be able to do that with the movies,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Unless you recast, you're not going to be able to do that. So to answer your question, in a roundabout sort of way, but for the most part, they've always kind of gone back to the default.
Yeah.
I think that the most recent management at Marvel would have liked nothing more than to start phasing out the original versions and have there be a certain kind of finality.
Mm-hmm.
From a commercial standpoint, from a comic book industry standpoint, I don't know if that works. I think that when all is said and done, you have to go back to the versions that the general public knows the best.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, when you talk about an industry such as comics where, it's been around for decades, then there is more of a long view, and there is more of an implicit understanding that these are stories that have, to some extent, they have to have an enforced stasis.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard John Byrne say this. I don't think he's the only one, but it's the illusion of change.
Right. And that was Stan also.
Sure. Right. And yeah, I mean, when you think about it, like when Stan Lee was writing for Marvel, he took the characters through a certain amount of progression within the first 5 years, and then it basically stopped there. Mm-hmm. To a large extent, so you have Peter Parker graduate high school, he goes into college, and then there he stays. You have, Reed Richards and Susan Storm. They get married. They have a kid. There's progression, and then there it stays. And then the Avengers is actually a great example because when you talk about progression within the Avengers, because the book, the actual book Avengers, was not the vehicle for change for those characters. That would have happened in their individual titles. Right. So in the Avengers, change is manifest by now it's this lineup. And then a year from now, so-and-so has left and now this person is here. And so-and-so is the chairman now. But, that's, when you really think about it, that's not, that's the illusion, that's the definition of the illusion of change.
Right.
And just to be clear what I'm saying, that's not meant to sound like I'm denigrating the comic books, which I absolutely adore. But, I mean, it's a reflection of the necessities of not just the comic book industry, but specifically the comic book industry during that era, and I'll just very broadly say from the 60s through the 2000s, let's say, where they had primacy in a way that they don't now.
Right. On the same token, I mean, Robert Downey Jr. may or may not be, this may or may not have been his last Marvel movie for forever or whatever. Yeah. But there's no doubt in my mind that somewhere down the line, Marvel is going to want to make another Iron Man movie. Yeah. They're going to want to make another Captain America movie. It's inevitable.
Yeah.
So this brings down the curtain on this particular version.
Yeah.
I don't know what they have in mind for the future, whether it is to sort of reboot and start the universe over again, a la, a Secret Wars kind of event where the universe is, reformed, and so boom, you can introduce a new Tony Stark, a new Steve Rogers, a new whatever. But yeah, but there is a sense of finality here that you can't do in the comics, or at least in my opinion, you shouldn't do in the comics, because if you do, you deprive the next generation of readers of what countless other readers have enjoyed. I'm not a big fan of killing off characters or getting rid of them.
Yeah.
Because the next writer may have a great idea for Tony Stark or Steve Rogers or whomever that the current crop just doesn't have.
Yeah. Well, I think we're sort of biting around the edges of spoilers, so why don't we use this as an opportunity to traverse the spoiler wall, and we can give our fully fleshed out reactions to the movie.
All right.
Spoiler.
Okay, so now we can talk freely. We can talk freely. If you're here now with us, folks, that means you've seen the movie. And by the way, actually, let's talk about spoilers, because it seems like whenever there's a big movie like this, the great spoiler conversation happens. And I'm extremely sensitive to spoilers, and I certainly don't want to ever inadvertently spoil a movie in my reviews. I take great pains for that. But people gotta settle down with their paranoia about spoilers.
I've never seen anything like it with this movie. Yeah,
well, the closest was Force Awakens a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I have just, social media sorts of things. I've never seen people I've never seen complain about spoilers before. Not complaining, but being like, "So help me." If the thing is spoiled. And I'm sure we've all seen this. Some guy in Hong Kong, I think, got beaten up.
Yep.
I shouldn't laugh, but it's terrible.
Well,
but
he's being an idiot. I'm not gonna say to be fair. I don't think anyone should be beaten up, but he was being a jerk, and he played with matches and he got burned. Let's put it that way. But
it always takes me back to that Simpsons episode where they flash back to 1980,
right?
And they're walking out of The Empire Strikes Back. That's any discussion of spoilers takes me back to that.
Which is literally what a cousin of mine talked about, where he had managed to steer clear of spoilers the entire time. He's walking into the theater, and literally somebody's walking out, "I can't believe they killed Iron Man."
Oh God.
And so it's like like a balloon deflating. Can you imagine?
Oh my God!
You've managed all this time. But here's my point with this. I understand people's sensitivity, but when you're gonna go on social media and be like, "Don't post anything about it," and then you're gonna be extra persnickety where any remote thing is perceived as a spoiler, I'm like, why don't you just get off of social media until this thing that's really important to you?
Right.
Yeah, I was very vigilant. Yeah, I even your review, by the way, was perfect.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you explained why you thought it was good and whatnot without actually getting into the nitty gritty of it. And I would have been fine reading it before I saw it, but I was just so cautious I didn't read it. So
well, I try to be cautious with spoilers anyway, but with this one in particular, I was literally like, it's like a time traveler where you're like, I only want to step on the path that's already been stepped on, so I was like, anything that's alluded to in a previous film or in a trailer, I consider fair game. Beyond that, nothing,
Mm-hmm.
And so, that's just something I try to do, and I'm lucky because if I want to talk spoilers, well, I have this venue to do that. But this is the thing. First of all, yes, people should absolutely be sensitive about putting out spoilers, but by that same token, people shouldn't be so sensitive about theanything they perceive as spoiler. Everybody needs to settle down. That's my point. Just relax. It's just a movie. Come on.
Yeah.
But there's like so many angles to discuss this. I mean, let's just start big picture. This is 3 hours long, and my thought was, if it had been an extra 15 minutes longer, I truly wouldn't have minded.
Yeah.
No, I agree. Yeah.
I actually felt like they chopped stuff out to get it down to 3 hours, and in some ways it felt like little bits of story development might have gotten the chop or been left to implication that might have been helpful.
I
I wouldn't
agree.
mind like a Peter Jackson cut of this,
Right?
when this comes out.
Like the
Kinda
4.5 hour one.
Yeah, sure.
No.
It seemed to me like that was most obvious in the beginning.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Because they've got this relationship already established with Carol Danvers that I would have liked to have seen get started.
I agree.
I feel like
Yes.
we missed out on that.
I actually wrote that down. I felt like oh shoot, I already lost my note. But anyway, it almost felt like her being included in this movie, like she may not have worked one day with anyone else. Like
Well, I think she's even said that. I think she's even said literally like she
really?
showed up on the day and it was like she was given like a page of script and everything was redacted except her line. And she's like, so who am I talking to here? Where am I looking? You know?
Oh, interesting. Yeah, because I, just coming off of that film, I'm kind of like amped up on her. So I wanted to see her integrated into everything. And I was surprised at the lack of her a little bit. And then also, yeah, she felt sort of removed from everyone. Like I never felt a connection with her and them, especially that scene where she's talking to Black Widow. She sort of seemed like the type, as far as I know her, who wouldn't be listening to her or like taking orders from her.
Yeah.
So obviously there's a rapport, and I would have liked to have seen that solidified a little bit more.
I think, and this is just my guess, but it sure feels like the post-credit scene from Captain Marvel, it feels like it was meant to be in this movie.
Yes.
Right?
Oh, that would have been good. I would have liked that in this movie.
Yeah, and I truly think that the Russos or Kevin Feige or both were like, we're already short on time. That scene is already out there in the world, so let's lose it.
Sure.
And I think that's unfortunate because that scene felt like it was pregnant with, okay, what's going to happen next, which is who are you, what's going on, and it would have been an opportunity to catch the audience up on the aftermath of the decimation.
Right.
Which, again, it's weird because I get why they probably chopped it because, again, this movie was already pretty substantial.
Sure.
But I don't know that and Glenn, you and I talked about this earlier. Yeah, I mean, I think that feels like something that I hope that they'll put in some kind of extended cut if they do one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the movie suffers because it. Like,
No.
I don't need to apologize for it for those reasons. But those are things that I would enjoy. Like you say, I wouldn't mind if the thing was built out a little bit more in terms of running time. If we got to see those more the connective tissue.
Yeah, and there's a few bits and pieces throughout that I would say, again, you get another 15 minutes of just little character pieces here and there. You end up with an even stronger film.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what's interesting to me is how really effectively it's 3 acts, and it's essentially you have 1 hour, 1 hour, 1 hour.
Yes.
The first hour is just like grieving.
Yeah.
You
That
know?
cold open with Hawkeye's family. Ugh. It completely sets the tone.
Yeah, and
was
to be honest,
devastating.
that's the stuff that I think is really. I think both Infinity War and Endgame, if there is something that I wanted, that I wish we saw a little bit more of, was more of like, what's the global impact of this, of this event, beyond our superhero people who are following, and so stuff like that, stuff like showing Hawkeye losing his family, that's extremely important, because it drives home the cost for your average person. We have the scene also with the group that Steve Rogers is leading and Joe Russo is there, talking to the date. He tried to go on a date and they're just crying or whatever. And that's the scene, by the way, Jim Starlin is in.
Yep.
Glenn, which Jim Starlin is the creator of Thanos and basically this whole cosmic corner of the Marvel universe. So he's I paid attention to him after Glenn told me to, and yeah, he actually had some dialogue too. So I was like, oh,
very cool.
How does he feel, by the way, about seeing this stuff realized on screen?
Oh, it's funny you ask that, Zaki, because I interviewed Jim not too long ago. And he's thrilled. I mean, he thinks that the Marvel movie guys have done a wonderful job, and it's really. I think he's really gratified with it, and very pleased.
Where can we find that, Glenn? I want to read that.
The interview?
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's funny because I was interviewing him about Batman, and that just kind of came up in conversation. So that's actually not going to make it into the interview, but it was just a conversation that I had with him as part of a separate topic.
Oh, that's cool. Well, it's nice to know that he enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wrote the Batman story called Death in the Family, which is where Jason Todd, the second Robin, was killed off, and that was a big deal back in like 1988 or whenever that happened.
And that's what I talked to him about.
Oh, that's cool. Wow.
It's when we talk about death in comics, that used to be kind of the thing that, like, well, Jason Todd doesn't come back and Bucky Barnes doesn't come back, those are the permanent deaths, and it's like both of those characters are now back.
That's topic of another conversation.
Yeah. I know you're not a fan of Jason Todd being back, right?
No.
Yeah. Well, I'm with you there. He's a character called the Red Hood. Now we're getting like super deep into comic book arcana, but whatever. This is an Avengers episode, so I feel
yeah.
I don't have to apologize for that. Yeah. Anyway, so here's the funny thing to me is that the film, and by the way, the opening action sequence is like a total masterful swerve, which is when we have the surviving Avengers go to whatever planet Thanos is on, right? Mm-hmm. And that is basically everything that's in the trailers is that.
Mm-hmm.
But they do it in the first like 10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's pretty genius.
Yeah, taking out Thanos, I was like, oh dang.
Yeah.
Like, all right, so what's this movie going to be about? Yeah.
And I think they do some nice stuff setting up the rest of the film where basically that opening scene with Thanos breaks Thor.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And I think that's the arc that they gave Thor in this film. I actually really liked it. I found it interesting. I know people are pissed off about it.
His grieving or the comedy that stemmed from some of it?
Both, to be honest. I mean, more the comedy.
Sure.
But I think to me the comedy is he's not being funny. He's being who his character has become, and there's moments of humor in it. You know what I mean? But it all comes from that opening scene where, when you think about it, like Thor's entire arc is whenever there's a problem, I'm gonna kick some ass and then I'm gonna win and I'll come out of it and I'll feel good about it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And now he blames the whole thing on himself, which exactly. I understand. I thought it was a good arc to give him. I felt bad for him. I
agree. I mean, when you think about it, like it's throughout the MCU, right? There's always that arrogance that he has, and the arrogance of I'm going to whack Thanos in the chest with Stormbreaker. Why? So I can let him know I'm about to kill him.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That ego is basically what led to the decimation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so then it's like, now I want revenge. This grief I'm feeling, I want revenge, and then that'll make it better. And he cuts off Thanos' head, but he's still empty because it doesn't change anything.
Mm-hmm.
Well, also, it's a callback to Thanos' line in the previous movie. You should have gone for the head.
Yep.
Should have gone for the head, yeah. So what you've got is Thor is like a broken man at the end of that opening scene, and the rest of the movie is him trying to reconcile with that. So it's I saw a very strange parallel with where Luke is in The Last Jedi. Right down to the mentor figure telling him failure is your greatest teacher.
Mm. Oh, wow.
There's nothing wrong with being a failure, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, because that what's that, Brian?
I said, but more fun.
Exactly. But more drunk, yeah. So we do the 5 years later jump, and that's a pretty big swing for the movie to make.
Yeah, yeah. Even it seems the movie is even aware of it. The way they put the Chiron on screen, it's like 5 years
Right.
later.
I mean,
did not see that coming at all.
yes, yeah. And the thought I had, and I don't know if you guys thought this, but I was like, oh well, they're gonna undo that by the end of this.
Yeah, I thought so too. And that's the challenge in writing. And you feel like as a writer you don't want to do it, but that's always worth it. Is subverting expectations.
Right.
It's like, well, the thing you could do is this. It's like, but wouldn't it be much more difficult if we tried this? And that's what they kept doing. They kept subverting everything. And I was like, well, now I don't understand what they're going to do. And that's the most entertaining thing to watch.
Yep. Yeah. I didn't necessarily think they were going to undo the 5 years later thing because my reaction was, well, they just killed Thanos, so I don't know where the hell they're going with this.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that you needed that 5 years for specifically for Tony Stark.
Yes.
That was my thought, because I was like, well, why not do 6 months?
Right.
Right. It could have happened at any time, but that when you reverse engineer it, you're like, well, Tony needed the reason to not want to get involved and then to get involved, and there needed to be something that he's losing beyond just his life,
which completely worked for me, by the way. Seeing this life that he had set up, and I totally understood being in his shoes, where it's awful, and you have the opportunity to reverse everything, but something, his life has finally come to this sort of nice place.
Yeah.
And it's not even just that he's comfortable, but there's like a new life in his life that he doesn't want to risk losing. And I thought that was really, really great.
Yeah. And I think that's a really crucial thing is that idea of, when you have a child, it changes your calculation of how you approach the world. I remember, I want to say it was Jon Stewart gave an interview where he talked about this, where he was like, when you have a kid, your concept of the world gets bigger and smaller, because all the things out there that could cause harm to you or your family, but your circle of interest shrinks, because you're like, I just want to protect my family.
Mm-hmm.
And, and obviously I know, Glenn, you can appreciate this. This is something I think about all the time. Right. And so Tony Stark really, like the journey he's been on, if we track from movie 1, Iron Man, back in 2008, to movie 10, Infinity War, in terms of his appearance, Endgame, his appearances, it's been this journey from selfishness to selflessness.
Yes.
And that selflessness is sort of embodied through his daughter. And real quick, just to jump back to the moment before the 5 years later, when Tony comes back to Earth, I mean, he is a broken man.
Yeah.
And I think RDJ plays it masterfully.
Oh yeah.
Amazing. Sorry, Glenn, you were saying?
Well, what you were just saying about the journey he's been on for these 10 movies. I mean, that's brought home in the final moments of his conversation with his father, with Howard Stark.
Yes.
Where Howard says that he all those moments of self-interest instead of being selfless. I mean, I can't remember the exact dialogue, but that's pretty much the last thing that Howard says to him before he gets into the car and drives off. And that really brings the whole Tony Stark story full circle.
Yes.
Hearing that from his father and hearing that from the man that he spent most of his life resenting, and then you hear that, his father wanted to be a better person.
Right. I love that kind of the Field of Dreams moment that he gets to have with his dad.
Yeah.
And by the way, that's a callback to the very first Iron Man. Where after Tony Stark is rescued and he has a press conference, and he's sitting there and he's kind of almost to himself. He's like, I never said goodbye to my dad. There were so many things I would have asked him. And so here we are 11 years later, we get to see that bit pay off.
Right.
Wow.
Right. Well, you know what's funny? I mean, the whole Thanos snapping his fingers thing. I mean, it was the best thing that ever happened to Tony Stark and Bruce Banner when you think about it.
Yeah. Well, and that's what you just said. That's so interesting. Is exactly this, right? It's that sense of yes, we need to bring them back, but we've now the world has changed in 5 years, and we don't want to upset the apple cart for whatever change people have made. But when you think about it, I mean, that's a choice that carries consequence. I was thinking about that actually, because I was like, you bring everybody back. Well, what about, because 5 years is long enough for people to have genuinely moved on.
Mm-hmm.
So people have gotten remarried.
Right.
People
sure.
have. What about this is a dark place. What about like people who took their own lives?
I was just gonna say, or like died in a riot or something.
Yeah.
As a result of this thing.
So that's, I mean, to me, the nice thing is that's stuff that you can potentially explore in future movies, since the MCU is not ending.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And that's a unique thing too, where it's like a lot of these unanswered questions are almost like, it's we just put a pin in it, and we may. I mean, I fully expect that Spider-Man: Far From Home, which is in just a few weeks, that's going to explore at least some of these questions.
I hope so.
They can't just hand wave it or be like, all right, everything's back to normal, because that's even in a brief sense, they have to explore what the ramifications are of this.
And with that movie being the close of Phase 3.
Yes.
Right. Maybe that's the sort of the tight, where we get to, obviously there's going to be adventure and whatnot, but we also get a little bit more, like you say, we get to explore a little bit more what the world's been through in a wrap up sort of sense.
Yeah. Glenn, you were saying?
But apparently all of Peter Parker's classmates were among those who got dusted, because they're all back in the next movie at the same age. So
I was thinking about that. I was like, that's got to be so weird, right?
That's good, yeah.
Because it's been 5 years, and so we know that at the very least Peter and Ned got dusted, and then based on the trailers for Spider-Man, most of the folks from the first Spider-Man are back in this one. So it's like, is that weird? Like, you go to high school and you don't know who any of these people are because it's been 5 years.
Yeah. Funny.
That's
I'm very curious how they acknowledge that stuff.
Yeah. And I do have to say, talking about the whole 5 years thing, one of the things I was really blown away by both times I saw the movies, Paul Rudd is an incredible actor, because
yes. I think we're going to talk about, you're going to think of the same thing, I think.
His reaction when he sees Cassie 5 years later, he doesn't say anything. It's just the look on his face, the expressions on his face. That was the first time I really got choked up in the movie.
Yes.
And I always think of him as this, lovable, goofy kind of guy. But there is such depth to him and such acting ability. He really, hit a home run with that one scene.
And it's wordless.
Yeah. And when you talk about the first act being sort of the grief act, you think of when he went into the quantum realm at the end of Ant-Man 2. We're in a happy movie, and he's beep, 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 like joking with everybody. And then the next thing he knows, he's entered this like really, really sad movie.
This hellscape.
Yeah, like I really tracked with that. And when he went to the monument, or the memorial, and he's like looking desperately, praying his daughter's name isn't on there. I really felt that. I thought that was really well conveyed.
Yeah. Yeah, he's terrific.
Although were you guys wondering, like, so has Cassie just been like on her own this whole time? Like, they don't really mention at all.
Yeah.
Oh, the mother. Yeah, I don't know. Judy Greer.
I do. By the way, in the comic books, Cassie herself becomes a superhero. She becomes a character called Stature, who uses the Pym particles. So I now that they've aged up Cassie, that's an option for them.
Yeah.
And this is like my comic brain is occasionally, firing neurons. Can't help it. All right. Well, actually, speaking of Ant-Man, I really like whatever. If there is another Avengers movie, already people are thinking about different members who can be in it. I think if you don't make the Rat who flipped the switch an Avenger, I don't know what you're doing. When you think about it, the entire universe like survives because of that rat just
Yeah,
happening to.
Because I've only seen this once. I was like, did I see that right? Did a rat just activate that thing?
I'm like, did Doctor Strange see that when he was looking at? But that's funny. Like to me, that it's funny because I've seen people really being critical of that, and I'm like, well, I mean, whatever, like.
Yeah.
If that's the thing you're going to get hung up on in a movie like this, I don't know what to tell you,
That'd be funny if they did do sort of like a Bill and Ted sort of thing. Like, remember to remove the rat trap from that, thing at storage facility. Remember to remove the rat trap.
That's really funny. And that was Ken Jeong, by the way, as the guard. I think
Community people in there.
There's two, right? And then they the Russos who directed Community, they've sprinkled Community people throughout their movies.
Yeah,
right.
Which is great.
Because let's see, Danny Pudi, right? He was in, which one was he in?
Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier, and then Jim Rash is in Civil War, and
Yep.
it's not the Russos, but Donald Glover is in Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, and then Yvette, I can't say her name. Yvette Nicole Brown was in this one.
Was in this one.
Yeah, she was delightful.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, and actually, this is pre-MCU, but Joel McHale was in Spider-Man 2.
Oh, funny.
So we've now covered the full spread of Community people. Well, except for Chevy Chase, but that's okay. But okay, so let's talk about the time heist portion, which is Act 2.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
So they should this is like fan service part 1, and then Act 3 is fan service part 2. This is basically like the clip show portion of the movie.
Yeah, I was like, oh, they Back to the Future.
They Back to the Future 2'd it.
Yeah.
Which is funny because before they go on the heist, they're like, "There's nothing like Back to the Future."
Yeah.
And
then
now for the next hour, we will Back to the Future.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I got to ask
I was
you guys.
really excited when they started doing that. I was like, I can't wait for. I actually wish they had pushed that more. To be honest, I wish they had. I felt like they could have played around with that even more than they did.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, you don't want to get lost in the fan serviceness of it, of revisiting all the movies. Actually, well, I don't know. Like again, I've only seen this once, but maybe it was good. I liked how things got messed up in the end of Avengers 1. And
Yes.
the moment I think I got most moved by the whole movie is when Thor got to spend time with his mother again.
Yes.
Oh, I got it. That was emotional moment number 2 for me.
Yes.
Yeah, that was the first time tears showed up.
Yeah, well, and obviously because there is that sense of like she is mere hours from her death,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
Thor knows that, right? So
And
there's
it's
that
kind of
extra.
like Doc too. He wants to warn her, and he thinks about it, and then he doesn't.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and she begs off, right? She's like, I think to some extent she knows,
Yeah.
right? She's like, oh, I'm a witch, so she probably has some awareness,
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
right? But I mean, I do find it somewhat sad that Rene Russo got more of an arc in this one Avengers movie than like 2 Thor movies. I'm pretty sure she has more dialogue in this than either of those 2 movies,
Maybe, yeah.
or put together.
Yeah.
Now the Natalie Portman thing, I wanted to ask. I'm fairly certain they didn't bring her in for that.
They didn't. I did some research on this.
Okay.
They used unused
That's what I was
footage
gonna
from Thor: The Dark World.
Okay.
Natalie Portman's new contribution to this movie is you can hear a snippet of her talking to the handmaidens saying, thank you, can you just, can you give me a minute or something like that? There's one line of dialogue that she came in to record, and that was her sole contribution to this movie.
Wow.
Well, hey, look at
Not
that.
a bad
I
paycheck.
know. And for that, she's in the credits, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
That by the way, they when Thor is describing the the events of Thor: The Dark World, which I also find funny, by the way, that's the one movie they actually take time to describe the events, because even the filmmakers are like, nobody watched Thor: The Dark World.
Yeah.
Nobody remembers it, But they show a little picture of Natalie Portman, and that's the same picture that we see of her in the Avengers.
Yeah.
Which Brian, you may recall, we were talking in our Avengers commentary track about like how much money did she get for just using that picture of her.
Yeah. She can make another Vox Lux.
That's right.
the money she makes from her picture showing up in these movies.
But you know what's funny though is her kind of breakup with Marvel happened really because if you remember, Patty Jenkins was supposed to do Thor 2.
Yep.
And then they couldn't come to terms, and so Patty Jenkins was like Natalie Portman wanted her to do it, and you wonder what Thor 2 would have looked like if Patty Jenkins had done it. I mean, based on Wonder Woman, it does feel like we missed out a little bit.
Yeah. I'm glad we got Wonder Woman. So I mean,
absolutely,
it balances out.
That's true.
Yep.
Perfect balance, perfectly balanced, as Thanos would say. Okay, so we do the Thor: The Dark World thing, and then there's the reinsertion into the Battle of New York from Avengers in 2012. Now there's so many parts of this that I loved. Obviously, there's the whole America's ass runner, which is great. As far as I'm concerned, that's America's ass. And just the fact that it really was a Back to the Future 2 situation where we're seeing the exact same scene but from a different point of view.
And it was cool, like sort of Marty watching himself on stage, where you had Stark singing, himself.
Yes,
yeah, that was pretty cool. Right. I enjoyed all that stuff.
And just little stuff like, sorry, Glenn, go ahead.
I loved the I'll call him the intelligent Hulk.
Yes.
The intelligent Hulk trying desperately to recapture some of the savagery from the original, and he can't even muster. He's like, and he kind of like
his like car. Embarrassment when he sees himself,
Yeah,
right. Yeah, doesn't he do like a little cringe face? Covers?
Glenn, I gotta ask you, what did you think of the way they resolved the Hulk situation in this?
Well, I will go on record as saying that the Intelligent Hulk is one of my least favorite versions of the Hulk. I would have loved to have seen more of the traditional Hulk, the one that we saw in Ragnarok and the one that we saw in the beginning of Infinity War. But that said, Ruffalo was so charming and so good-natured and good-humored throughout this movie. I loved him. I loved watching it. I did feel the sense of, well, we never really got to see the traditional Hulk, go up against Thanos again. I would have loved to have seen a major rematch.
Yeah. But
that said, I really enjoyed this version of the Hulk, even though it's not my favorite.
Yeah, I think what I appreciated is that it really it gave Ruffalo a chance to do something a little different.
Yeah.
And the truth is that this character, I don't see any reason why we won't see him again, and I think they can continue his journey. So there's a sense of like, oh well, this is now going to be the status quo for the Hulk, and I don't think that has to necessarily be the case.
Yeah, I hope not. Actually, I mean, one of the things that I was sort of expecting, but I mean, this movie was so stuffed as it was.
Yeah.
Was when he suffers that major injury,
yes.
And they need him for the big battle at the end. I think there was going to be a moment where they were like, you have to heal up, and the only way to heal up is to get good and angry, and you have to lose, your intelligence. You have to let the real Hulk out. And I thought that would have been an interesting sort of thing where he basically sacrifices the progress that he made to number one, to heal, and number two, to be one of those tipping points that they need in this big battle. They didn't go there, but it doesn't mean that they won't eventually. I'd hate to think that this is the last stage of the Hulk's evolution.
Well, you know what's funny is what you're saying. I was expecting something in that vein because of what the movie does earlier, which is when Hulk goes to New Asgard to get Thor, and and Thor is like so frustrated, and when he hears the name Thanos, he kind of grabs Banner by the collar, and Banner just very gently is like please let go.
Yeah,
and like basically like back off. Like he's even though Banner's intelligence is prevailing, it's like he's still holding in the full fury of the Hulk.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I thought that was sort of planting a seed for something later. That being said, kind of like you, I like where we went with this, and part of this, I know you're not a fan of the merged Hulk. For me, that's like one of my touchstones for the character because of obviously the Peter David run is really sort of imprinted on me. And that's and in the Infinity Gauntlet storyline, it was the merged Hulk in the comics.
Right.
There's that, but going back to the Battle of New York, I also like how they retconned in this little piece of like where were all why weren't the magicians doing something to stop the aliens? Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh, they were. We just didn't see it.
That was cool. I liked seeing that. Yeah.
Right. And number one, that gives like Mark Ruffalo minus mocap to be inserted into the movie again. But I also like the insights it gives us into the Ancient One, where he's like, "Oh, I'm looking for Stephen Strange," and she's like, "Oh, you're about 5 years early."
Yeah, that was cool.
Like she knows, and in Doctor Strange, she talks about that, right? She's seen all possible timelines up to her death.
Yep.
So what she doesn't know is what happens after, which is where Banner's like, "Well, if you're supposed to protect the Time Stone, why did Strange like give it away?"
Mm-hmm.
And her reaction is, oh, well, then he must have had a reason. So here.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Now that sequence also explains the way time travel works in this film.
Yeah.
And I got to be honest, my brain is turning into tapioca trying to figure this out.
I was hoping I'd catch on to it better the second time.
No.
My sense of everything up till the end of the movie is every time they go back, they're creating like a splinter timeline.
Zachy, I have that in my notes right here.
Okay.
They've created no less than 4 or 5 different timelines in this movie.
Okay. So what Banner says before any of this is, if you go back in time, you going back in time is your present, so you can't alter your past.
Right.
So there's nothing you can do in the past that will change your future. So every time, right? Like so the 2012 they go back to and they do whatever they do. They've now created a branch.
Mm-hmm.
So the Loki that escapes with the Tesseract, and who I presume we will see in this Disney Plus series,
right,
is not the Loki who died.
Presumably.
Right. Presumably. And then et cetera, with all the so nothing they've done affects everything we've seen up to this point. However,
yeah.
Well, but that leads to just like a brain-bending paradox at the very end, which we'll talk about when we get there. At least for me, I'm still trying to figure it out.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the real kicker that sort of like shatters the foundation of the movie. If you really want to think about it, if Thanos of 2014 and Gamora and Nebula, they jump forward to 2018.
No, 2023.
I'm sorry, 2023. They jump forward to 2023. Then from 2014 on, who's gathering all the Infinity Stones, and who snaps their fingers to wipe out half the universe?
Well, that's that timeline.
Sorry.
So in that timeline, in the 2014 alternate timeline, Thanos just disappeared.
Exactly. So time is not linear in this universe.
Yes. So, oh my God, I need a drink. Okay, we'll get back to this in just a second.
Yeah.
So, okay, another big moment is we go to Vormir, and we lose the Black Widow.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now that I feel like maybe it's just because the close of the film is so impactful that this moment isn't getting talked about as much.
Yeah, there's so many big moments. Depends on where you
look.
Wait, sorry. Say that again. Say again.
It depends on where you look, because I think it was Vanity Fair did a scathing article about how badly Black Widow has been treated in this movie and in the movies leading up to it.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. I did not see that. I did have that thought, actually, because it's, Clint and Natasha are fighting over who will sacrifice himself. And I had every expectation it was going to be Hawkeye, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Partially because the last time we went through this, it was Gamora who got tossed off the thing, and I was like, it seems like a bad look when you have two women getting
Right.
tossed off the mountain, That being said, I thought the moment was very effective.
It was. My daughter was in hysterics on Friday night. She was just so upset, and also by the permanence of it. And as one of the first questions my daughter had to me at the end of the movie was, "But I thought Black Widow's getting her own movie." And
Right.
and I just had to shrug. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, I feel like the infinity-ness of it gives them some kind of a backdoor
Sure.
to bring her back, because it's not, she didn't die from like a bullet to the head. She died because of magic.
Mm.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
But on the same token, you wouldn't expect a Black Widow movie to have a lot of science fiction and magical elements in it.
Yes, that's what I wondered. Like prequel?
I
don't know.
think it's pretty clear. I mean, but they've said that. They've said Black Widow is going to be a prequel.
Oh, really? Yeah, I didn't know.
They have said that. So that's probably the case. But I still feel like her death is, there's at least the possibility. Let me put it this way: if the Black Widow movie like performs really well, I don't see them leaving her dead.
I see. Yeah.
Because you can't do a whole series of prequels, because who would watch those? I ask you. A trilogy of prequels? Crazy talk.
A lot of it also depends on how many movies Scarlett Johansson has left on her contract.
Yeah.
I think she's done. I think Black Widow might be it. Like because they have they have 6 picture deals.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So what's she been in? She was in Iron Man 2, Avengers, like 4 Avengers, so that's 5 right there. And then Civil War. So she's like done already from her original contract.
All right.
But I mean, if it performs,
She's been making more than you would expect given her role in the films. Like a lot of money, like $20+ million for these movies.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which is pretty crazy. But anyway, she's a popular character. I don't know. My guess is that Black Widow as a character and or a concept will return. Isn't there another? There's like a different Black Widow in the comics also, right?
Well, it's definitely Natasha again, as far as I know.
Right, but in the comics there exists like a different Black Widow.
Different in terms of
like a different character who is also Black.
Oh yeah, there's been at least one other, like a blonde
one, right? I don't know the name, but I mean they have options. Is my point as far as what to do with that character.
Yeah.
Okay, so just moving along. So we get to the big finale now. The couple things that jumped out at me is they reassemble all the Infinity Stones.
Wait. Can we talk about Cap versus Cap?
Yep,
oh
please.
yes, go ahead.
Awesome. I loved it.
Oh, actually,
so cool.
before even that, the way they restage the elevator fight scene.
Yep.
Yep.
And what a clever little in joke to people like me who hated Secret Empire.
Yes. So there was a controversial comic book storyline that was like, oh, actually, Cap has secretly been a Hydra agent this whole time. And so there was this big twist in the comics where Cap is like, Hail Hydra. And everyone's like, what the hell? How are you going to have Captain America say that? And then the movie is like that. That's how you do it.
Key little way. Yeah. Yeah, but watching his future self fight his past self and seeing like his eager earnestness, and he's like, oh boy.
Yeah, that's the funny thing is if you remember in Age of Ultron where Tony Stark says shit and he's like, language.
Yeah, yes.
And then here he's like, that is America's ass. Like,
right.
Or he's like, you got to be shitting me. That's what he says.
Right, that was it.
Let's say something like, do this all day. And he's like, yeah.
I know.
And what I loved is that they even gave the past Cap that little moment, because it was so logical for him to think, who his double would be. And he goes, I have eyes on Loki.
Yes.
That was good.
Well, and it was also logical that future Cap or present Cap knows the one thing that would discombobulate him.
Yeah.
Loki's alive.
You know?
Yeah.
Oh, actually, real quick, Robert Redford.
Yeah.
Dude, to me, what impresses me about these movies is that they can call up Robert Redford, be like, "Hey, can you walk in for like half an hour and just do this thing?"
Yeah.
What about Michael Douglas with the mullet?
Yes, it's Streets of San Francisco, Michael Douglas, right? That whole sequence at the camp, by the way, which we'll talk about in just a second, but that was one of my favorite parts of the whole movie when Steve and Tony go to New Jersey.
Yeah.
Okay, so after New York and before they reassemble the gems, we get what I think is just the heart of the movie is when they go to Camp Lehigh, and two really important things happen there. Number one, Tony has his resolution with his father, which I think informs what happens to him at the end of the movie, and then Steve sees Peggy Carter for the first time really since he went into the ice, as she was.
Right, as he remembered.
That's what informs his decision at the end of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's really that scene is really crucial. Oh, and obviously we also get Stan Lee's final cameo.
Yeah, it was really quick. Actually, I'm sort of embarrassed to admit it. I was like, "Is that Mark Maron?"
He did kind of look like him.
I kind of want to see it. Pause it. It went so fast.
They did their Marvel mojo and de-aged him to look like he did in the 70s.
Oh, I see.
Yep.
Yeah. And that is, per the Russos, that is the last Stan Lee cameo that was filmed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I could see like an audio cameo or something. But, you know, I think they used a very specific phrasing. Like, that's the last cameo that was captured on film or something like that.
Oh, I see. Sure.
The way they said it was very weirdly specific.
Leave it open.
Yeah. But that, like I said, the whole piece with Tony meeting Howard Stark. This is the John Slattery Howard Stark. However, and this is a little piece that I dug, that scene also ties in with the TV side of the Marvel Universe, which has been at arm's length up till now because Howard Stark's driver is Edwin Jarvis, played by James Darcy.
Yep.
And that character was introduced in the Agent Carter TV series.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
Which is the only TV project that Kevin Feige was involved with.
Interesting.
That explains it, right?
Yeah.
Makes sense. But yeah, so we get that moment, which again, in hindsight, certainly second viewing, I was like, this scene right here is the key to the whole rest of the movie, at least as it pertains to those two characters. So we get we get Hulk putting on I'm going to call it the Iron Gauntlet.
Yeah.
And that scene also is really, really important when you realize it's setting up what's going to happen to Tony Stark at the end. That even the Hulk is in bad shape after this is not something anybody can just pick up and snap their fingers.
Right.
And you know, and I love Banner's line where he's like, you know, it's gamma radiation. It's like I forget exactly, but he's like, it's like I was made for this.
Yep.
Right. And I think in terms of the Hulk's arc throughout the films, I think it actually we do get something if we go from the Incredible Hulk up to now, where the Hulk has been this thing he's run away from or tried to get away from, and then we get here where him embracing that side of him is what brought him to that moment where the Hulk is responsible for bringing everyone back.
And I love
he's
that.
essential,
right? Yeah. They couldn't have done it without him, period.
Yep.
But also, I mean, if you look at his arm, I mean, he is screwed up after snapping his finger, you know?
And he doesn't heal. He's not healed at the end.
Yeah, exactly.
Which, you know, the Hulk has one of the strongest healing factors in the Marvel Universe. So, yeah, I don't know what that portends for the future.
Yeah,
now, is there any sort of logic to what happens when you snap? Like, is it something you have to like sort of think about, or who you get rid of, who returns?
I think it's just like you have to snap, like mentally make a wish, basically.
Okay, yeah.
But I don't think it's like a monkey's paw thing. I think it's just like, I think this is what I want, you know, and then you snap your fingers.
Yeah.
But then again, I don't know. I haven't used the gauntlet in a while.
Well,
I don't know the specifics.
Presumably, Thanos, relied upon the reality stone to wipe everybody out. All the Hulk, I guess, really had to think was, I want to undo what Thanos did.
Yes. Yeah.
And so the reality stone takes care of the rest.
Yeah.
But with the specific intent of bring back to now everybody who has lost, rather than let's just pretend the last 5 years didn't happen.
Right. Exactly.
Right. Now the whole I was worried when we saw Nebula and the two Nebulas and then the Thanos in the back. I was worried that the movie was in danger of sort of falling in on itself with all its timey-wimey wibbly wobbly business,
It's one of my favorite expressions of yours.
Oh, thank you. Well, that's from like a Doctor Who, I think.
I know, but that's sort of your like playful knock at it, right?
What else can you say, right? It's funny because I've been seeing over the last few days people really like getting into it. Like, no, time travel works like this. And I'm like, guys, none of this is real.
Yeah.
None of this matters, But the mechanism here's my point. The mechanism that they've contrived to bring Thanos into the conflict, I thought worked spectacularly.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was the only thing they could do.
Yeah. Like I thought it was brilliant in that because we had a total swerve in the first 10 minutes. Like, oh, Thanos is dead. That's it. And so the fact that like, no, we're essentially at the end of Endgame, right where we were at the end of Infinity War.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it's the exact same thing, except now the stakes are that much higher because we don't have everybody available. And the fact that the final battle against him before the final battle comes down to Thor, Hulk, and Iron Man, I thought it was so perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Such a perfect summation of everything that this universe has built up to. I also kind of like, by the way, that when Thor, powers up, he still has the gut.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I wonder. Yes. Yeah. That was funny.
I was like, oh, okay, I can dig it.
Yeah. Lebowski Thor.
Lebowski. So, okay. The moment where Captain America wields Thor's hammer.
Oh, that was, maybe top moment for me in the whole movie.
This is what I'm saying. Brian, you and I in our Avengers commentary track, we're talking about how it's become a cultural shorthand about Thor's hammer.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Everybody knows it.
Yeah.
And, that's something that I remember the first time they did it in a comic, which was probably 88, I think. What a big deal that was.
Mm-hmm.
The first time. And it was an issue of Thor, as I recall. The first time that happened, it was a big deal. And they allude to that a little bit in Age of Ultron. When everybody's trying to lift the hammer.
Yeah.
Steve Rogers kind of nudges it a little bit.
So now, when Thor says, I knew it, was he referring to the fact that Cap could lift it the whole time? He was just messing with him by not hurting his feelings by not doing it in front of everyone?
My sense is Thor sees that Steve nudged it. This is an Age of Ultron. And so that in his mind, even that should be impossible.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So then he knows that he has the potential to lift the hammer.
Right.
Like, I knew you could do it.
Yes.
Exactly.
And actually, while we talk about the worthiness to wield the hammer, going back to the scene in the Dark World retcon there, when Lebowski Thor calls the hammer, and it comes to him, and he's like, "I'm still worthy."
Yeah. Yeah.
That's another really important moment for the character.
And I'll tell you something else. Just a key, Cap wielding the hammer is fantastic, but.
Yes.
What I will say for me was even just as emotional, and that this was another part where I teared up, is when Cap, his shield has been destroyed, everybody else has been taken down, and Thanos has assembled his army, and Cap gets to his feet. There's nobody there to help him, and he's going to take on the entire army by himself.
Yep.
That to me is quintessential. That is Captain America.
Well, and that's very much evokes a similar moment in the Infinity Gauntlet comic book, where it's exactly that. I mean, Thanos kills him, but it's still that where it's just like he's basically like, as long as one man stands against you, it'll I'll never give up or something like that. It's and that's shot, by the way, where you have essentially Captain America from the back and you have the whole army coming. That reminded me of The Last Jedi also, with Luke against the walkers.
Right.
Unintentional, but I couldn't help but think of that.
Yeah.
And then to me, man, this is it right here. You have Falcon saying to your left,
Yep.
on your left, and then to me, this is like the moment. This is like what 11 years of movies led up to.
Yep.
Is where you've got and by the way, this is interesting too. The portal, Doctor Strange's portal opens up, and who's the first person through? It's Black Panther.
Yep.
And to me, that was at least a subtle signal of how the torch has been passed to the next generation of these Marvel characters, where Black Panther is now the guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like because T'Challa walks through and they lock eyes, and it's very specific. We stay on them, and then there's like a beat before everyone else starts coming through, and that's at least a subtle indication of like how the next wave is going to look, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But again, portal after portal, and Alan Silvestri's music is just pulsating, culminating with the Avengers theme. Oh my God. I can't even describe what it felt like watching that in the theater, you know?
Yeah.
And
yeah,
I'd say both audiences that I saw it with the jaded comic book crowd, comic book professionals, and then a bunch of college kids up in Ithaca. When Spider-Man comes through the portal, both crowds just went ape shit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Same thing. It's funny how Spider-Man specifically, yeah.
Yeah, I'm still playing the PS4 game, so when he showed up, I was like, yes!
Now, you know what's funny is when Infinity War was first announced, so like 2016, something like that, I remember Brian telling you, I was like, of all the movies, and this is when it was like a two-part thing. I was like, of all the things, the one I'm least excited by is this Infinity War two-parter thing, because it's just going to be a bunch of CGI hordes like throwing shit at each other, right?
Yeah.
And by the time we got to this, I did not care.
Oh, I actually wrote that down. I said this battle was more style than actual stakes.
Yes.
But that's what this has earned. Like, it didn't need the stakes because I was so excited seeing everyone that I have come to know and love over 10 years kicking ass. That's what I want. I want to see the flourish. I want to see them just going bonkers and looking awesome. And it was so satisfying.
If a movie can bring you to a place where you're like, hey, it's Drax. Hey, it's a Winter Soldier. Hey, it's like, hey, it's Wong. Like
yes, I got super excited seeing Wong.
Exactly.
Yeah,
right? That's how you know.
So satisfying.
Amazing. What, Glenn? What was that like in the comic book crowd?
The comic book crowd was actually pretty quiet throughout. There were little moments. When Cap. When Cap holds Thor's hammer, that got applause, but for the most part, they were pretty quiet. They were pretty engaged in the movie and just wanted to watch it and savor it. I think.
Yeah.
In the second crowd that I saw it with, it was mostly a bunch of civilians and fans and
normies.
Normies, as I call them. Yeah.
What's that?
Normies,
yeah. They were a little bit more enthusiastic, not enthusiastic, but showing in terms of showing their enthusiasm.
Well, you know what? That makes me happy too. The fact that like a normal audience is just so plugged in,
Oh yeah.
I wish I had gone opening night and sort of been there with my crowd was pretty quiet. I was the loudest person in the theater, I think. Now that I think about it, I was laughing the hardest, and I think I went, yeah, like a couple times. I wish I had been there for that sort of opening night buzz of everyone who was, just brimming for this thing.
Yeah. So we ultimately. Oh, by the way, the final, as this big, massive, ridiculous Return of the King style throwdown sort of starts winding up is when Carol Danvers returns, and you can see why they've kept her off the playing field.
Mm-hmm.
That's almost the thing they probably had to worry about the most in this movie: how to keep her away.
Right.
Yeah, and it occurs. So she shows up and she just demolishes, Thanos' ship Sanctuary, and just, I mean, she's so powerful that this was my concern with the Captain Marvel film. I'm like, it's so much power you can't even wrap your arms around it.
Danvers ex machina.
Yes, right. So I'm wondering what you do with her in a sequel.
Yeah, it was clever though. I thought when Thanos took the stone and punched her, I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
That worked really, really well.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, and it so that answers the question of like, how come Danvers doesn't, why doesn't she get the killing blow, basically, right?
Right.
Now, what that leads into is, of course, Tony Stark's ultimate moment. And what I really love is, first of all, Doctor Strange is back, and Tony Stark is like, "Is this the one timeline that you saw?" And he says, "If I tell you, it won't happen."
Right.
Yeah.
And he means specifically Tony Stark's death. And before even that, when Tony hugs Peter Parker.
I didn't want to interrupt you, but yeah, I wanted to bring that up. That was the another tears moment. Oh my gosh, that kid, Tom Holland, like, he is just the heart. I mean, anytime he's in the scene, he's the heart. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, and what I love is that in Spider-Man: Homecoming, if you remember, they're in the car together.
Yes.
And Tony like leans over. He's like, "I'm not hugging you. We're not there yet."
Yeah.
So this kind of pays that off.
Does he say something like, "Oh, this is nice," or something like that?
Yeah.
In this, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're winding down, and Tony Stark is seeing, essentially, he's figuring out what he has to do. He looks over at Strange, and Strange looks at him, and he holds up his finger.
Yep.
This is the one time. So in other words, Strange knows what Tony's about to do.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And that was something very subtle to me, where I actually realized on the second viewing that that's what he was doing. He holds up his hand. This is it. This is the one timeline.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep.
And this goes to the fact that the gems are in an Iron Man gauntlet is so important, because what Tony does is he uses the nanites to interface with the Iron Gauntlet and bring the gems over to his gauntlet.
Yep.
So look at all the plot mechanics that work to lead us up to that moment, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So perfect. And then, so of course, he snaps his fingers. He gets the line, and it's funny actually, because I've watched the films now enough with the boys where my oldest Hamza was like, "Man, he says I am Iron Man all the time. I'll be disappointed if he doesn't say I am Iron Man in this one."
Oh, funny.
And I was like, "Well, you might get your wish.
Yeah.
Be careful what you wish for. There's a monkey's paw right there, right?"
Mm.
So he snaps his fingers, and it's like detonating a grenade in your hand. That's what I've told somebody else. Like, well, why didn't he use this gem to heal himself? And I'm like, no, he basically died the moment he snapped his finger.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was it.
Yeah.
I think I asked you that question.
Oh, did you? Oh, there you go. Well, Glenn, I get to teach you something, Glenn. No, but that's what they say, right? It's like a gamma bomb exploded.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, he is effectively dead at that moment.
Yeah. Which makes the most sense, but I think it's nice that they just, in terms of holding our hand a little bit as an audience, so we don't like completely lose it, making him seem a little bit lucid when people are saying goodbye to him.
Well, I think, okay, so this was where I very nearly lost it.
Mm-hmm.
Because the way it's just, I mean, first we get Rhodey, his best friend.
Yes.
Then Peter's reaction is so great. Feels so genuine. But then what I love is Pepper. She says, "You can rest. You did good. You can rest now."
Yeah.
And
Because-
that goes.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
because it goes back to early in the film.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. But because he's like, "I invented the secret of time travel, but I just want to like throw it in the bottom of the ocean." And she's like, "Could you rest if you did that?" But it goes back even further, because this has been haunting him since the Battle of New York.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Because Iron Man 3 is about that. He can't sleep.
Right.
Age of Ultron is about the vision that he had of exactly this. Right.
Yeah.
Everything has led up to Tony Stark. And in the first Avengers, when Cap says, could you make the sacrifice play? Could you lie down on the wire and let somebody else go over you? Right. and everything. It's funny they're calling this the Infinity Saga, and I'm like, you should call it the Stark arc.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Because it really like they've done such a brilliant job of creating this character from movie 1 to movie 22, where it's an achievement unlike anything I've ever seen in terms of really thoroughly developing a comic book character. I mean, what Hugh Jackman did as Wolverine is impressive, no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think even that is the same as what Robert Downey did through these 10 movies.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
And it works. I mean, the fact that Pepper, she touched, like, we see the arc reactor go, not even the arc reactor, the thingy,
Mm-hmm.
the nanite thing on his chest, that goes out. I mean, it's not an arc reactor, but it serves that same function. So we know, oh, he's truly dead.
Yeah.
Yep.
A great moment. My gosh.
Yeah.
And then leading into that, we have the when he says goodbye to his daughter, and he's like, "I love you 3,000." Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness, But then, when Pepper puts the trophy afloat, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we get this. Man, I love this moment so much, where we pan across this crowd.
Yep.
And these are all Tony Stark's children when you think about it, because it's the entire MCU.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
All because it's like we literally like weave through every franchise. Here's the Doctor Strange franchise. Here's the Guardians franchise. All these people are there because of Tony Stark.
Yeah.
And at the and by the way, the kid, Brian, did you recognize the kid?
No, I had to look it up later.
Yeah, that's the kid from Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've had so many people ask me, who the hell was that kid? And I had to explain it to them.
And I love that they thought to include him.
Yeah, totally.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's his connection to regular people.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's not just within. Now, that being, I've said this on Twitter, I would have loved if you just had Phil Coulson in that scene and just didn't even say anything.
Mm.
You just pan through, and he's there, and if people notice him, they do. If they don't, like, it was just a little subtle thing. I knew it was never going to happen, but I would have loved that.
Yeah.
And the last person that they show is Sam Jackson as Nick Fury, which, of course, makes all the sense in the world.
Yep.
Yeah. Does he have any lines in this movie?
Nope.
No.
Yeah. Huh.
He should have been like, at the funeral. That should have been the only thing he said.
It just says in the parentheses, sadly.
And I love the fact that they devoted some time between Happy and Morgan Stark.
I love that too.
Oh,
Yep.
so good.
That could have been a scene that they easily cut out.
Yes.
I love that they kept it in, and I love that they gave some time to the guy who made that first movie possible, Jon Favreau.
Yeah, very true.
I didn't even think of it that way. Yeah.
Well, and just, the way he's like, I'm going to make sure you have, like, as many cheeseburgers as you want or something. I mean, it's just such a, like...
Beautiful.
It's
Beautiful
like,
writing.
Happy isn't a superhero. He's just this regular guy who loved Tony, so he loves his daughter the same way,
Yeah.
Really nice moment. And we're going to see Happy in Far From Home, which I'm also happy about.
Yep.
I'm happy to see Happy. It's nice. Okay, so this is coda number 2 after we say goodbye to Tony Stark is we have to return all the Infinity Stones. We got to return Mjolnir, and so Steve Rogers is like, see you later. I'll be back in a second. He doesn't come back. Although Bucky knows he's not coming back. I don't know if you caught that, Brian.
I don't know that I did. Actually, well, you know what I thought was going to happen? I thought he wasn't going to come back, and then when they turn around and they sort of push in on him, this is way more esoteric, but I thought they were going to push in on a tree with a heart carved into it or something.
I thought that too.
Oh, did you? Okay, yeah.
I thought like something in that vein, like something. Yeah. When Steve is leaving, Bucky's like, "I'm really going to miss you." Like, why would he say that, right?
Right.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, I wish I had caught that.
Yeah. So
yeah.
And if you notice,
sorry.
Go ahead, Glenn.
I was going to say nobody understands him better than Bucky. So
yes. So that's like, to me, if you notice Steve goes through the portal. They're counting down. Before he's even not come back, Bucky has turned around. Like, he knows he's not going to be coming back.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he was expecting him to be sitting there or whatever, but obviously we get this really emotionally satisfying but intellectually perplexing moment at the end. And for the last 5 days I've been bouncing back and forth with those two realities, where on an emotional level I loved it.
Yeah.
Intellectually I'm trying to figure it out, which is that now Steve is an old man. He's 100 plus.
Mm-hmm.
He returned all the Infinity Stones to their respective timelines, and then he decided to go back at some point and just live the rest of his life with, we presume, Peggy Carter.
Oh, it has to be.
I'm assuming.
Don't we see it?
Yeah.
We see that he had his dance with her. We don't know that that's necessarily who he married. I'm just saying.
Oh.
I'm fairly certain he did, just to be clear.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think it's interesting because okay, so number one, Bucky tells Sam, like, go talk to him, and I'm almost like, what does Bucky know? What did Bucky know?
Mm.
And then when Sam is talking to Steve, Sam is us. He's the audience,
Mm-hmm.
right? I don't
Like,
want to imagine.
Yeah.
Well, that, but also I don't want to imagine a world without Captain America in it.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Right. And by the way, Chris Evans in that final scene is so good.
So good.
He's so believable as this old man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And can I tell you, every time I look at Chris Evans in these movies, I'm like, that guy was in Not Another Teen Movie. I mean, the way he's come forward and been able to do all these amazing things, it's really something. But it's a really great performance from him. Anyway, what's that, Glenn?
I was going to say, just if you don't mind, a couple of things. One is, even though they set up a romance between Steve Rogers and Sharon Carter in Civil War, I would say that as of last year, I suspected that this was going to ultimately be where they ended up with Cap. And what clinched it for me was very early in the movie when he describes Peggy Carter as the love of his life.
Love of his life, yep.
Once he said that, I knew where they were going to go with this. So I wasn't all that surprised that ultimately he decides to go into the past and stay there. My question is, I'd like to know what you guys think. Did he go back to 1945 or did he go back to 1970 where he saw her? Because he was going back to 1970 anyway to return the Tesseract, but that would have meant that Peggy was 25 years older than him around. And she didn't seem that way at the end of the movie, and the car passing in front of the house looked like it was from the 40s. So what do you guys think?
Yeah, he goes back to sometime in the 40s.
Okay, all right.
So I guess he took another thing of Pym particles from 1970 and used that to get back, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I guess so. And he would have had to use, one of the stones the time stone one last time, right?
No, he uses the time GPS.
Oh, right.
I forgot about that thing.
Okay.
Right, because that's how they got to 1970 from 2012. Is they needed a Pym particle and they needed the time GPS.
That's it. It was a time GPS. You're right.
Yeah, so he returns all the stones, which, by the way, I feel robbed that we didn't get the scene of Cap meeting the Red Skull on Vormir.
I was just going to ask about that.
What the hell?
Wait, what? The what?
Well, if he went to Vormir to return the Soul Stone, he would have seen the Red Skull there. Right?
Yeah.
But okay, so this is where, again, the time stuff is making my brain ache, because what we're establishing is that you go back in time, you create a new branch.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So if you create a new branch, then you say, okay, Steve goes back to the 1940s and he meets Peggy for that dance and they live happily ever after. But then we should never see Steve again in our timeline.
Right.
So unless we say no, in actuality, you go back and you're in this timeline, but it's slightly different. In which case, but that violates everything the other part of the movie has said.
Yeah.
Wait. You lost me at we should never see Steve again.
because Steve is
not
now
alternate timeline.
he's now in the alternate timeline.
Okay.
Creating a new branch, yeah.
So it's like Glenn. It's like Spock going back to the Kelvin timeline and just living in that
Right.
branch now.
Right. But everything Cap did up until the moment he left still applies. It's not like he's wiped out of existence.
No.
It's just-
But as far as people in 2023 are concerned, Steve is gone. We just never saw him
Right.
again.
Right. And we should never see old Steve.
Yes, because old Steve is in
Okay.
that timeline now.
Right. I gotcha. Right.
You know what I
Unless
will say though, without parsing all of that stuff, for me, like I had a lump in my throat the
yes.
second he was on that bench.
Oh, for sure.
And you know, all the way through seeing him in the past with Peggy, I was like, what? I can't think of a more beautiful human ending
Well, that's
to
the
this
thing.
all this craziness.
See, Brian,
it's
that's-
so beautiful.
Honestly, that's the thing. Okay, because they needed to do two things. Number one, they needed to give Steve that moment. It was his arc has built up to having that dance with Peggy,
Yep.
right?
Right.
But they also needed to make clear that Chris Evans as Captain America is effectively off the table.
Right. Right.
So
Without
they
killing
needed-
him, which is nice.
They needed to accomplish both those things, which is why we get both the dance and also here's old Cap passing on the shield. We needed both, and they needed to reconcile that somehow. I'm happy to just be like, okay, for all we know, he was always Peggy's husband.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? Like that makes the most sense to me. Like that was always meant to happen. He essentially closed his loop, and he just stays out of history's way because everything that happened before needs to happen. So he just needs to. He's retired.
Right.
Mhm.
Now, people are online. What I've seen is like, how could Captain America go back to the 1940s knowing everything that's going to happen and stay out of history's way?
Mhm.
How could he not get involved knowing everything that's going to happen? And I don't know. The way I look at it, I'm like, he's had the fight of his life. It's like Rocky retiring after fighting Drago. Like he's earned his retirement. Like he saved reality.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And you have to figure in his mind, he's like, we have to preserve that victory, the greatest victory we're ever going to have. And that if that means me staying out of the way, then so be it.
Right. The
I don't know,
half
that's-
the universe being decimated. Yeah.
Yeah, like that's my theory on that because we can get lost in the time travel weeds, but I don't know. That's what makes the most sense. Like he just stays out of history's way. For all we know, he's there at Peggy Carter's funeral. We didn't see him because why would
Right.
we?
Mm-hmm.
He's
It's moments like this I really wish Mark Grunwald were still here.
Yes.
Because I would love to ask him, do you think Cap would have done that? Would he have gone back in time, or would he have been, being that he was the one preaching at the beginning of the movie, you have to move on, you have to, get on with your life. Would he have been so focused on going back instead of like pursuing, basically giving up the fight and just putting the shield down and going and sort of escaping? Is that something that Cap would have done in Mark's point of view? Mark wrote Captain America for about 16 years in the comics.
so he would have known. He passed away in was it the late 90s? He passed away.
August 12th, 1996.
96. Okay, so mid 90s. Wow.
Yeah.
yeah,
I would
and
have loved to ask him that.
Yeah, and I would have loved to hear what he had to say about that. My feeling is, I think people who are like, oh, he gave up the fight, he run away. I think that's misreading the way he leaves things, right? Because in essence, all he's doing, it's no different than had he in the present day. Let's say he does return, and then he hands the shield to Sam, and he's like, I want you to take over. It's no different than that because no time has passed. The world has not been without Captain America, right? So in essence, it's the best of both worlds where we say, well, Steve gets to finally live that life he never got to, and he ensures that the future. Like he would. Let me put it this way: I don't think he would have made that choice did he not know that the future was in good hands. That's my point.
Right. Good, excellent point. Excellent point. I'm surprised that it wasn't Bucky who got the shield.
Me too.
Yes. Well, I think there's a couple reasons for them to not I think primarily Marvel is making a very concerted push to emphasize the diversity in their lineup.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think there's a better way of doing that than having an African American Captain America.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
I also think that there's value in the specific dynamic that those two have together, as sort of the Magnificent Bickersons. And I think the opportunity to have that play out as Captain America and Bucky, but it's like the new Captain America and Bucky, that's like a thread that I'm looking forward to see followed in this this Disney Plus series.
Yeah.
Right? Because Bucky was Captain America in the comics briefly. I think they allude to that a little bit, where Sam looks back at Bucky and he kind of nods at him.
Yeah.
Like it's like, I'm okay with this.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
You know. Yeah, I don't know. This is a journey. You know. I have seen it twice now, and I have every intention of watching it again.
Yeah.
And like I said, I mean, a 3-hour movie, that's a commitment, but it didn't feel that way.
Not at all.
No, not at all. Yeah.
It's funny.
So we just walked through the whole story. Is there anything I didn't bring up that you guys had notes about that we want to cover?
Well, do you think Thor's going to be in Guardians 3?
I hope so.
I don't know. I think there's room to have him in it, and I think people are certainly expecting it. But there's also room to be able to, in line of dialogue, be like, "Oh, we dropped Thor off here," and
Right.
and you do Thor 4. I know that Taika Waititi pitched an idea for Thor 4.
No.
So
That's exciting to have him.
that's
involved
exciting
in it.
if you liked Thor Ragnarok, which I've learned recently is a more divisive movie than I realized.
Huh.
But that seems to be the Thor that really spoke to audiences.
Yeah.
So I can see them continuing, and I don't see why not. I mean, it seems like Hemsworth really enjoys playing a more comedic Thor.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't. He seems amenable to it, so I don't see why not.
Yeah.
And I loved how he made a brief appearance in the movie too, as Korg.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Oh, I speaking of Thor and the Guardians, I love the little banter with him and Peter Quill at the very end,
Yeah.
where they're arguing over who's in charge, and Peter's like, everybody knows, and Thor's just like, of course.
Yes.
Course. Like,
That's why I want him so much to be in that next movie. I really, really do.
Yeah.
More of
I
that.
wonder, I wonder if the script that James Gunn wrote took the end of Endgame into account.
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing.
Well, two things on my end is
Yeah.
one question that I had was, where's Sif? Did she get dusted and is she back, or was she one of the people that Thanos killed aboard Sanctuary 2? Where is she? Is she out there? As one of my friends responded, who cares? But I care.
I care too.
And the other question is Gamora. What happened to Gamora? Did she get dusted when Iron Man snapped his fingers, or
Yes.
is she still out there?
That's that's the big question. People are trying to figure out. When Quill at the end is like searching for Gamora, which Gamora is he searching for? I don't know. I mean, it seems to me if she was gonna be dusted, we would have seen it. That seems important.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't think she would have been dusted though. I think that the Gamora of 2014 is who we're gonna be tracking with now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. If it's going to be anything, it's going to be her. But will they pick up on that? I have to imagine that they will, but you never know.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. The fact that she's noticeably not there at the end is very odd. Like they're not showing her. I mean, I don't know. Like, where would she have gotten to?
Right.
And then Guardians 3 could be sort of like 50 First Dates, where Quill's got a winner again.
That's right. I love when Quill sees her and she knees him in the nuts twice, and he's like, "You missed the first time. You hit him both the second time."
Yeah, that's funny.
This whole movie, by the way, has basically been like a reflection of fan angst over Star-Lord. Like everyone was pissed at Star-Lord after Infinity War.
Right. Oh, I didn't even think of it that way.
And then in this, like, he gets cold cocked and then he gets nut kicked.
That's funny.
At least I think he's called an idiot at least twice.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
I like where Gamora's like, this is the guy. And then was like, well, it's him or a tree.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. But so many moments. I mean, this, and Brian, you are going to see it again. I really think this rewards repeat viewing because you're going to pick up on subtle things all over the place.
Yeah.
That pay off, and that not only that pay off within the film, but that themselves pay off moments from the broader MCU.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but yeah, that wraps up my thoughts on this. Just an absolute blast.
Yeah, I think the last thing I wrote down if I had like a final thought on this is, for being a 3-hour, totally packed to the gills, cosmic crazy sort of story. Like, I felt all of the emotional moments felt very genuine.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think it's the result, obviously, of 10 years with these characters, but also I thought this movie did a really good job of not being like obligated to have these moments, but they all felt warranted, and they all were very effective. I mean, even when Stark was looking at that picture of Peter Parker in his kitchen, like, I really believe his connection. Like, he kind of, it's like a son he never had sort of thing. And when he seems, it's so out of character for Stark to be that emotional, but when he sees Peter again for the first time and hugs him, like, I just really bought all that.
Yeah.
And I just, to have a spectacle movie and then to also have these moments, human moments, work so well packed into this tight little package. They pulled it off. In my opinion, they pulled it off.
And for me, the kicker the first time, the one that really got me the first time I saw it and got me again the second time, was the look on Peggy's face when she's dancing with Steve at the end.
Yes.
That just hit me like a ton of bricks.
Oh, that ending was so lovely. I loved it.
It's the end of an era,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The MCU intends to spin on.
Mm-hmm.
And that's gratifying. But when you look at the slate of what's coming and what we can assume is coming, it's going to look very different. And that itself is very exciting.
Mm-hmm.
I've mentioned on this show previously that Shang-Chi, Master of Kung Fu, is the one I'm most excited about.
Yeah.
Right. The fact that we are now far enough along where we can be doing a Shang-Chi movie, it just blows me away.
Yeah.
Which is funny because this is a little marker for me where I'm like, Shang-Chi, who's that? And then 10 years from now, when I'm on here with you guys again, I'm like, Shang-Chi's my favorite.
I mean, when we look at what we can presume is coming, and I think they're planning to announce the next phase in the next couple of days. But Black Panther 2, obviously, Captain Marvel 2, Guardians 3, possibly another Ant-Man. Right, those are, and then another Doctor Strange. So those are like the extant franchises, and then you've got Master of Kung Fu, and you've got the Eternals.
Yep.
Which Brian, that's being directed by Chloe Zhao, who did The Rider. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Good for her.
Yeah. And by the way, Shang-Chi is being directed by Destin Cretton, who I interviewed way back in the day for Short Term 12, along with Brie Larson.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's really great. I know some people would be maybe not be so excited to see these people moving into the superhero realm, but I'm excited to see these really unique, distinct voices, contributing to all this, the zeitgeist,
Yes.
and through these big things that everyone's going to see. I think that's exciting.
And I think what also makes me excited is I feel like Kevin Feige specifically, but all the people he surround himself with, are smart enough to know that what just ended, will never be replicated.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that itself excites me. That whatever they do next is going to be very different.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's not to say we won't have a build up to something big, but we can never match what we just got.
Mm-hmm.
And I often talk about watching these movies with my kids. The fact that they got to experience the MCU basically in real time as they've gotten older. My oldest was 1 year old when Iron Man came out.
Wow.
Isn't that something? You know,
Yeah.
he's like 1.5, and now he's 12 going on 13, and it's just he lives in this universe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so many kids, that's exciting to me, and let's see what's coming next.
Yeah.
As we wrap things up, Glenn, anything big you wanna let our audience know to check out?
Yeah, I've got a bunch of articles coming out over the next few months for Back Issue Magazine and Retro Fan Magazine. Back Issue number 113, which I believe is on sale in the middle of June. I'm part of the coverage of the 30th anniversary of Batman the movie.
Nice.
My article is about it's a very long article about what was going on in the comic books in 1989. It begins with the death of Robin by Jim Starlin, and it ends with the return of Robin by Marv Wolfman and George Perez and Jim Aparo. I've got another article. I've got an article coming out in Retro Fan Magazine, issue number 5. I've got the cover story. It is it's the full interview I did with Mark Hamill
Nice.
about the 40th anniversary of Star Wars. He is a trip. You basically ask him a question and you just sit back and let him take over for almost an hour. It was great. So that's going to be the cover story of Retro Fan number 5, which I believe is out in June. Next month I've got an article that's going to be for sci-fi.com as part of the Godzilla coverage. I will be covering Godzilla's first invasion of America, which was the Marvel Comics. The Marvel Comics series from the 70s. So I interviewed writer Doug Mensch. I
love that series. I love it so much.
I just reread it.
It is bananas, but I love it.
Yeah, I'm working on that now. That'll be out sometime in early May. And some more stuff for Back Issue, but that's not going to be for another bunch of months. But it's some really good stuff that I'm very excited about.
Cool.
You have me intrigued. Every one of those sounds like something I want to read.
Yeah,
Awesome.
same.
As for me, while we're in the Avengers corner, let me mention that I wrote a piece for Birth Movies Death this past week, looking back at Avengers: Age of Ultron, which I have long contended is a much better movie than it gets credit for, and especially in light of where Infinity War and Endgame led us. It really has a pretty crucial role in this entire saga, so please check that out if you get a chance. Also, on the movie film side, we did a commentary track, Brian and I, for 2012's Avengers, the first film, and we had a great time with that, and I hope folks will check it out, give it a listen.
Yeah.
Brian, anything you want to hype up?
Still writing for Puppy Dog Pals, which is on all the time on Disney and Disney Junior, so check it out.
And as for me, you can find me at my website, Zackie'sCorner.com. That's ZAKIS Corner. That's also my Twitter. That's also my Instagram. My full review of Avengers Endgame is there, and you can also look for a new episode of Nostalgia Theater, the Nostalgia Theater podcast, I should say, in a couple days. As always, please go to iTunes and leave a review, leave a star rating. Let us know what you think of the show, and let other people know as well. If you want to contact us, please email us at moviefilmpodcast@gmail.com, or hit like on our Facebook page and message us there, facebook.com/moviefilmpodcast. That wraps up our extended conversation, a year in the making, about Avengers Endgame, which was itself a movie 11 years in the making. So it all, there's symmetry there. But we will be back soon. In our next episode, we'll be talking about Detective Pikachu.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Yeah, that's a thing that's happening. And we... That sounded more cynical than I meant it to. I'm actually
they played the trailer before the movie, and I'm like, this looks fun. It looks kind of like a modern Roger Rabbit, you know, for this generation.
I will say this: I have no connection to Pokemon whatsoever. However, my kids are like as excited for that as they were for Avengers. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So
great.
So I'm if nothing else, I'll experience it through their eyes. But regardless, that is a thing. That's a coming. We also have upcoming our commentary track for the original Karate Kid.
Yeah.
Which celebrates its 35th anniversary this year. And we will also be talking in our next episode about season 2 of Cobra Kai, which just dropped this past week. So on behalf of my partner Brian Hall, on behalf of our special guest Glenn Greenberg, my name is Zaki Hassan. This has been Movie Film 170. Thanks for listening, and we will catch you next time.
Welcome, friends, it's the Movie Film Podcast. Movie Film Podcast, enjoy the show. Zachy and Brian are talking about movies. Movie Film Podcast.